Good morning, everyone. On this election day, learning Rambam reminds me of a sikh of the Rebbe. An amazing sikh of the Rebbe. The Rebbe said, Ayid sitzt und lernt a Posek Chumash. Und meint, as is hinterstellig. He thinks that he's in old-fashioned. He's learning Chumash. There's a whole world out there. There's a White House. There's a stock market. But he doesn't know that the whole stock market, the whole White House was created that he should be able to learn this Pasuk Chumash. Very, very beautiful attitude. So learning today, doing the Rebbe's Takona today, sich vertiefen in der Rambam, Pshat na Rambam. This is amazing. We're learning today Hilchos Erechin v'Charomim. So there's an interesting halacha. Peirik Daled halacha chof. The Rambam says, Goa lo hamakdish koidim she'agia yevel. He took a field and he made it hektish. And then he redeemed it before Yevel came. Harezu chazeres leba'aleho. He keeps it. The Ravid asks, what do you mean chazeres leba'aleho? He has it. Dan verstehen pshat. Okay. V'chein zog the Rambam. Im goalo b'nei shel makdish. A ben, the Rambam learns, some learn that it's a shaila, but the Rambam learns that it's mamish like he was goyelet. So if the ben was goyelet, harezu chayzeres la'oviv b'yovel. Because it's as if he was goyelet. But if it's bite or shar krevov, that it's not him or anochri. So if this guy goes ahead and he will redeem his field from these strangers who were goyelis field from hektish, then he gets it back. But if he wasn't goyelet, then the field belongs to hektish. Hektish seizes it and gives it to the kohenim a gift. Because it says, it belongs to the Kohenim. The Rambam learns it's one of the Chavdalad Matnas Kohuna that they get this field. Says the Rambam in Halacha Chav Beis, Ha'isha she'igdisha stei achuzos. A lady was makdish or stei achuzos. And her husband redeemed the field from hektish. And it comes Yevel and the husband has it. Zog the Rambam, it's a sofek. It's a doubt if it goes back to the lady or goes to the Keani. It's a shaila in the Gemara in Erechin, Daf Chof Hei, Omid Beis, Reb Zeidas the shaila. And the Gemara stays in a teko. Is a Baal in the nechosim of an Isha like a Ben, and it's as if she redeemed it? Or he's like an Acher, Memela, there's a chiyuv to give this field to the Keren, the chiyuv from Matnas Kohuna. Lefichoch, says the Rambam. If the Isha gets it after Yovel, the Kohenim can't take it from her. If the Kohenim get it first, the Isha can't take it from them because it's a perpetual doubt in the gather of the Baal b'nichsi ishte. Since it's a sofek, looks like the Rambam says the famous klal of kol da'alim gvar. Govar. Whoever is stronger wins. That's a sofek. The Ravid argues with the Rambam. The Ravid says, why does the Isha have to make a chazaka? The fact that the Baal has it, it's as if she's being muchsek in the field. V'horaya, that she can't sell it, and he has a bailus, he gets all the payers of the field. So why shouldn't we say it's as if the Isha was machzik? Why isn't it enough that the Baal is machzik? And we have to understand what's the machlekes of the Rambam, the Ravid, like the Noise Kele mask on the Ravid, the Gemara in Erechin bleibe at Teiku. If it was no kasha, what's the kasha for the Gemara for that Teiku? But let's continue with the Rambam. The Rambam says we say kol the alim gvar, because it's a suffix if she was goyelet through the Baal being goyelet, or she wasn't goyel. And then there's a chiyuv to give it to the koyanim asteachuza. We find Rabbi Kivi Eges Mitzayin, other Achreinim are Mitzayin, to a Mishnah Lemelech in Hilches Toyim V'Nitten, Peirik Tezvov Halacha Hey. The Mishnah Lemelech says like this. He brings an interesting Trumas Hadesh. The Trumas Hadesh in Siman Shin Nun Beis has a shaila. The shaila was, there is a shtuki. And the shtuki had a wonderful home. And he gave it to his mother. And then when he died, someone else was made a chazok in it. Do we say that it goes to the mother and the guy's chazaka was like making chazok on the Brooklyn Bridge? Or do we say that it didn't belong to the mother, it was hefker and he gets it? So the Trumas Hadeshin, with a big aricha, says that it's a machlekes rishonim. According to the Rif, the chazok of this guy is nothing, it belongs to the mother. Mashenkin, according to the Rosh and the Raivit and Hilchas Schia Matona, it didn't belong to the mother, because the shtuki has a din of agay, memele was hefke. What do we do now with this house? So the Trumas Hadeshen is Siman Shinum Beis says that we don't say kol da alim gvar. We say yachloiku. And the Trumas Hadeshen gives a klal. When do we say yachloiku? And when don't we say yachloiku? When do we say put in the chazokah? Or when do you say kol da alim gvar? And the Trumas Hadeshen says a wonderful thing. Why do we say kol da alim gvar? Why don't we say yachloiku? And he says, it's a suffix. It's a suffix. If Bestin will say achloiku, and then someone will come prove that Bestin was wrong and belongs to this guy, so Bestin doesn't want to get involved. Kol the alim gvar. Says the Trumas Hadeshen, you cannot say it by a suffix like who the halacha is. Because you're not going to say that maybe someone will bring proof that halacha is like that guy. It's not going to happen. So there you could say achloiku. And he brings another svara, the Trumas Hadeshen. Very sadistic svara. The Trumas Hadeshen says, what's the reason called alim gvar? Because we say, since he knows it's really his, so therefore he's going to fight stronger to get it. Memele, you're going to figure it out. Says the Trumas Hadeshen, this guy knows if the halacha is like the Raivit and the Rosh or the Rif. He knows what the halacha is, he doesn't. So because of these two svaras, the Trumas Hadeshen gives a klal in Hilchis called Alim Gvar and Yachleiku that it depends if it's a Sofik b'mitzias. Best says if trog zichop called Alim Gvar, fight it out. But if it's a Sofik the dinner, And a suffix like which is Rishonim, the halacha is like, you don't say kol the alim gvar, you say achloiku. By the way, for those who wonder, there should be a lot of fights all over, people going to Bezdin, and Bezdin say kol the alim gvar, and so sechonim ba'gantzam achleikis. How come we don't see people fighting? Bezdin should say the best man wins. So I saw a beautiful piece Chitshuva, Simin Kufayin Dalit, this morning. He brings from the Shvus Yankov, the son of the Ned of Yehuda, that today we don't say Kol Da'alim Gvar. Because what's the whole reason of Kol Da'alim Gvar? Because since you know it's yours, you're going to fight for it. Today, Baba, there's Yeridas Hadeiros, and people could fight for things that they know doesn't belong to them. We should not go by this Kol Da'alim Gvar today. And he hopes that the other Rabbanim in the generation will join with him. So maybe that's why we're not seeing people fight in the street. So the Mishnah Melech brings us Trumas Hadeshen, explaining when we say Achloiku, when we say Kol Da'alim Gvar. By the way, this Trumas Hadeshen is brought down La'alocha L'maaseh in the Shulchan Aruch, Simin Kuf Lamed Tes, Chesha Mishpat. The Ramos says, Dovar Sha'apeiskim Chelkim Bey. Something that's a Machlekes HaPoskim. V'loi Tofis Chad Minayu, no one has it yet. Im hu dover the shayach be chalukah chelkin. If you could make a chalukah, because it's a machlekes haposkim, like the Trumas Hadeshen explained. V'im lo shayach be chalukah. If it's not shayach to do chalukah, then kol da'alim gvar. Because only if it's shayach to make a chalukah. And the mocker for this Ramah is this Trumas Hadeshen. Asks the Mishnah Lamelech. Efrekt HaKasha. From today's Rambam. He says, Rambam says in our case, where it's a sofik in the Gemara in Erechin, if the Baal being goyal for the Isha is as if the Isha was goyal, the Rambam basically paskins called Alim Gvar. Whoever makes the chazaka first, either the Isha or the Kohanim, they win. Why? It's a Sveika de Dina. It's not a suffix in what happened. According to his Trumas Hadeshen, you should say Yachloiku. You should take the stay Achuza and have Yachleiku. The Mishnah Melech writes, some people want to answer this Tzorich Iyun on the Trumas Hadeshen, that there is a Shach. Shach is actually in Simukuf Lametes. Shach says, this is lachatchila yudul yachleiku. But if one of them is toifusit, loy mafkinu minayu. So the Mishnah Lamelech says, the Rambam should say lechatchila is yachleiku, and if someone was teifes, then the Mishnah Lamelech asks further. He says, when could there be tfisa? He wants to say, when could there be tfisa? Only by metaltalin. There cannot be tfisa by karka. If you say achleiku, there cannot be tfisa because karka becheskes ba'alei medes. Anyways, after all this, he remains by a tzorich iyun. on the Trumas Hadesh. That here we have an ironclad rule from the Tzavos, from the Trumas Hadesh, that by Machlek Asofik in Din you say Achleiku. How come here you don't say Achleiku? By our halacha of Shtei Achuza, there's a sefer Kedushas Yom Tov on the Rambam. It's written actually by the Marit al-Ghazi. Marit al-Ghazi, he was in Eretz Yisrael, passed away 1802. He was a Rosh Yeshiva L'Mekubolim also for a while. It's interesting, the Chassam Sofer, he met the Chassam Sofer because he was sent from Israel to go to the Chutz La'aretz to raise money for people in Eretz Yisrael. And the Chassam Sofer writes on the Kedushas Yom Tov that since the days of the Mishnah L'Melech, there hasn't gone out such a beautiful Pirush on the Rambam like the Kedushas Yom Tov. The Kedushas Yom Tov, he writes, after Mechila, the Mishnah L'Melech, he stayed by Tzorech Hir. He thinks he has the answer where there's no stira of on the klal of the Shailas Tzuvas Orivosh. Based on the Gemara in Pchiris, the Gemara says, there's a Shaklavatari over there, if after the child was born, the father died, is there a chiyuv on the nechosim that the father lived to pay the 5 sloim of pidyon haben? The Gemara says it's a machlekes. And the Gemara over there in Pchiris, Dafim Ches says, what's the machlekes? Says the Gemara in Pchiris, sometimes a partial payment is a payment. We have it by a Baal Chayv. You owe someone money, you pay him a little bit, you pay him partially. Then there's sometimes that there has to be a full payment, otherwise it's nothing. Chamisha sloim v'loy chamisha chatzoy sloim. You can't pay him 2.5 sloim. Memele, if there's no chomish sloim left over in the nechosim of the father, collectible items, there's no chiyuv chamisha sloim. You can't be a little pregnant. You can't pay part of the chomish sloim, and there's no chiyuv. So the Mishnah Lamela Zok Tzadik Kedushas Yom Tov, a very fascinating explanation. Normally, when there's a sveika dedina, you say achleiku. This is the klal of Trumas Hadesh, brought down in the Shulchan Aruch, like we said. But by Sedei Achuza is one of the Chavdalet Matnas Kahuna. If you don't give the whole thing to the Kehanim, you did nothing. You didn't do it. It's not an Inyan of moment, it's an Inyan of Isser. And you have, so therefore, since it's in such a case, if you say Achleiku, nothing will be accomplished because the Matnas Kahuna of the Sedei Achuza going to the Kehanim was not given. So the Rambam can't say here Yachleiku. Over here you say Shuda the Daina, called Alim Gvar. Because it's a suffix, we can't get involved. The Yachleiku will do nothing. This is also interesting. Another raya, that by Shtei Achuza, it's not a thing of finances. It's a chiyuv of Matnas Kahuna. It says, if let's say by Yovel there's a lot of fields that belong to the Kehanim, you can't say, brought in the Rambam and the Gemara in Erechin, you can't say one Kohen says, I'll take this field. One Kohen says, I'll take that field. No. All the Kohenim from that base Av have to get part of every field. We see it's a Inyan meyuchet, a Inyan of Isa. So what this is for, and for the Tzorechim, for the Mishnah L'Melech, that over here you can't say called Alim Gvar. because, sorry, you can't say achleiku, because nothing will be accomplished. So it's different than any other sveika de dinner. Fascinating answer. We still have to understand the halacha. Why does the Rambam say that the Isha needs to be teufus? And why does the Ravid say that he doesn't need to be teufus because the Tfisis Habal is enough for the Isha? What's the machlekes here of the Rambam, the Ravid? But we'll leave this for a different time. But in schus of learning halacha liyun, the Rebbe wanted this should bring a yeshua and a tzollah for everybody. And have a wonderful day.